All right, welcome to the Indie Bandits Twitch stream and YouTube channel. My name is Jimmy, and I'm here with Joe.
Hello.
And we are back on our domination of medieval Europe. We were pretty successful last time, managing to get Nottingham back. And we did all right in the Crusade as well, didn't we, Joe?
They sent us down to Egypt, if I recall correctly. And
Yeah.
we took Cairo, but did we kill a load of people when we did? I mean, we killed a load of people.
We did.
On the reg, if you get me. But, when we got to Cairo, didn't we kill a load of them because we couldn't be arsed with, keeping them under control?
Yeah.
When we captured Nottingham, we just... Nottingham, Jesus. Cairo, Nottingham. They're very similar. It's easy to get the two places confused. No, Cairo, we did a bit of a massacre once we'd taken it, right? That was the plan.
We did, yeah. In this game, the difference in culture and religion can impact how content the population is, and considering we are literally on the other side of the map, the best thing to do is to sort of eliminate the population and start again, which sounds terrible as I'm saying it, but it's the game mechanic, so...
Yes, don't take that out of context. It's almost like the people who made this game had looked into history and were like, you know what, it seems that people of differing religions throughout Europe and North Africa didn't get along much during this time period.
No, and it's actually we've just probably ended up giving King Rufus the cruel, is it moniker?
Yes, or title, or I guess it's a moniker.
So killing the entire population, or most of the population in Cairo, caused him to be called the Cruel, so apologies, Rufus. That was my bad.
I'll tell you what, whilst you're setting them up, I'll tell you what I found out about what happened in real life last time we were playing.
So this isn't real life, Joe.
It's better.
I'm not taking over medieval Europe right now.
This is much better than real life, because you don't have to feel guilty about massacring large numbers of Egyptians when you capture their cities. But apparently in 1154, work was started on the York Minster.
All right.
Which, if you've been to York, you'll know it's rather impressive.
It's pretty big.
And a bit later, 16 years later to be precise, in 1170, which would have been during the time of our last stream. I don't mean our last stream was so long ago, it was in 1170. What I mean is that it's in-game. We actually played through the year 1170, when the Archbishop of Canterbury, Thomas Becket, which I believe, if you're a history person, that name rings a bell, is murdered by the Knights of Henry II.
Yes, just all a big misunderstanding.
They'd been pals, but when Henry appointed him Archbishop of Canterbury, he started taking the side of the church over the king. And I quote, the site I found this on said, the two quarrelled. I think more than quarrelled, he had him killed.
Apparently it was an accident, though.
Really?
Apparently he said, then this is all like what's myth and what's actually true about history is obviously difficult to determine, but apparently the king was overheard at dinner loudly exclaiming out of frustration, "Won't somebody rid me of this troublesome priest?" And a couple of knights overheard him and thought they meant bump him off, and they ran off and killed him. But killing a priest in a church was even in medieval times was considered pretty hardcore behavior.
Yeah, and I mean, I guess I assume that they believe that, I don't know, these two knights were like, oh, this will really impress the boss if we go, I heard him say, oh, if only someone would bring me a fork so I can eat this food. And someone here you go, a little boot,
if only he'd said, bring me a fork to eat this food, then,
Then he could have stabbed Thomas Becket himself with his fork. I don't think they used forks at the time. This is one thing I think I learned on QI, perhaps. Not that I was on QI, watching the show. That folks used to just use their hands and put food in their mouth and wrench the food apart, and that was very, very common practice for many a century, obviously, even during these times. And as a result, we a lot of us have a sort of is it an underbite? when your lower teeth are further back than your upper teeth.
All right.
We all have that because we grew up with like forks in our mouths and biting down on forks, which slightly sets your lower jaw back a bit.
Ah,
Whereas people who don't eat with knives and forks won't have this occur as often.
fair enough.
There we go. And in other news, the population of London exceeded 30,000 for the first time in 1170. And in 1174, work started on Wells Cathedral, and that was the few things that would have happened had we been playing this game accurately. But I didn't think we didn't have anyone to kill. We just crusaded and recaptured Nottingham, which I don't remember belonging to the Danes in real life.
Probably because it might have at some point. They were pretty active
Not
up
around
in the
that
north.
time, though.
No, not around
Not
that
around
time.
that time.
These guys are getting
So that's-
whomped coming in, aren't they? Look at this.
Are they Danes as well?
They are Danes. They decided to try and attack Nottingham again, but I've got like loads of longbowmen now, so they're just getting savaged on the way in.
With one unit as well, though.
They've got some guys hiding back here, but as they're horsemen, they're not
decided
going to
not
be
to
much
come.
use. They're
No, they
looking
have
at
to
all the
wait until
arrows
they
and
get
being
to-
like, you know what?
Oh,
That
shit.
doesn't look like fun.
We'll hang out here in I don't know what's near Nottingham and
We'll see if Torksvig and his buddies get up the gate there, and if they do, we might come in. But if they don't make it, let's just nash back to Denmark.
Is he actually called Toxvig, or did you
I just made
go
that
with
up,
a
yeah.
go to Danish name?
Yeah, that was a solid Danish name.
That sounds it. Sounds it. I can't back you up on whether or not that's true, but yeah, I'll go with that.
Yeah,
The
Ragnar.
I also got,
That's a good one.
is that not more further north? Further
Oh, I guess that might be
further
Norway.
north?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oof, it's not fun
Yeah.
for that. You know what? I'm gonna start shooting some of these horses.
Oh. I got some other interesting facts as well about today. Actually, well, I got into this thing where I started looking at what happened on the 9th of April, and then just found a load of famous birthdays. So do you want to hear who is celebrating their birthdays today?
Go on then.
We have Jacques Villeneuve. Do you remember him?
Yeah, all right. Yeah, Formula One, British Canadian or something.
French Canadian.
French Canadian.
With a name like Jacques Villeneuve, I don't think he's from the English speaking side.
I thought he was.
Uh,
Did he
some-
not? Was he not? Did he not? Am I getting that wrong? I thought he raced as a Brit or something like that.
Is that not Greg Grudeski? He raced for Williams. No, he's very much Canadian. He's the son of Gilles
Oh, fair
Villeneuve,
enough, yeah.
who was the
I might be thinking of Craig Rosetsky. You might be right, actually.
yeah, because Gilles Villeneuve has the circuit in Montreal named after him when they do the Canadian Grand Prix there. And
Don't you wish his second
interesting-
name was Ville, not Villeneuve? Gilles Ville.
Yeah,
I think
that
that'd be a
would
really
be
good
good. It's probably his rap name. Jacques Villeneuve actually has an album. He self-published an album. Haven't listened to it, but I've heard talk that it's atrocious and sold like 400 copies. Like even being Formula One world champion isn't enough to get your record to go gold.
No.
And also when they during the first lockdown when all the sports were cancelled and everything, and they did all like the esports stuff, and a lot of the motorsports did this where they were like, you know, the people who do the wheels and sim rigs were like sending stuff out to like the professional drivers and being like participate in like the digital version of your sport, because there's a lot of overlap. You know, what you do if you have a sim rig, what you do in a real race is very similar to what you do in a sim.
Right.
So much so that they have, they have drivers getting real in like simulators to practice before races and stuff like that. Obviously, a little bit different to like the games they play, but they had them doing this, and they got Jacques Villeneuve to participate in one of them, and he was out and about, and everyone else is like proper like. There's a lot of Formula One drivers. The new generation are really into like being on Twitch and streaming and like doing the sim race. And Jacques Villeneuve rocks up and he's like, "I'll just play with my controller, cheers." And he's just so everyone else has got these like mad rigs, stuff like eye-watering amounts of money these things cost. And Jacques Villeneuve's there with his like, I don't know, compact laptop and his like, 30 quid Xbox controller. You know what I mean? Like USB Xbox controller. But like the camera's still on him, but he's just like, proper like doesn't give a shit. he participated. Apparently, he did well, and everyone's like laughing because everyone's like, you can't win with a controller. He didn't, but a valiant effort.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, yep. Also, other birthdays. There's a few of them. Rachel Stevens, remember her? S Club 7.
I was gonna say I couldn't remember the band, but I remember it was
That's it's going back. Yeah, she's also celebrating her birthday. Albert Hammond Jr. If you remember, guitarist from The Strokes,
right.
son of Albert Hammond, obviously, hence the name. Jay Baruchel, the Canadian actor. If you know him, he's like the weedy one with the croaky voice who does the voice of the guy out of How to Train Your Dragon. He like plays friends with Seth Rogen, proper dweeb looking guy. Like he always plays like the nerdy looking guy because I guess he's been typecast. You'll recognize him if you see him. And Kristen Stewart, who you'll know from the Twilight movies, as you're a big fan.
Oh yes, can't get enough of Twilight.
Exactly. Yeah, and they're all celebrating their birthdays today, as well as
happy birthday to all of them.
As well as one of my exes, the really crazy one from a while back. You know the one I'm talking. I'm not going to name drop her on there on the stream, but you know which one I'm talking. That one.
Yeah.
Which I found out.
Happy birthday to them as well.
I spotted that on Facebook today. I was like, oh yeah. Good for her. Good for her having birthdays and that. After I'm like, not worthy of having your name alongside Jacques Villeneuve, Rachel Stevens, Albert Hammond Jr., Jay Baruchel, and Kristen Stewart. But yeah. Happy birthday anyway to all those people.
All those lovely people.
Well, yeah.
Oh, everyone in Cairo is deciding to riot. Like the ungrateful people.
I thought we'd sorted that out by killing all the people who weren't of our religion.
Turns out there's still enough of them left who are a little bit peeved off that their entire, city's been taken over by a bunch of foreign invaders.
That is a fair complaint.
Yep.
I completely understand why they'd not be happy.
I'd be annoyed as well.
I'll tell you what I was annoyed about. I'm gonna tell you because the other day, we were playing Railway Empire on stream earlier on in the week. So
earlier this week, yeah.
Yeah. So we're playing Railway Empire, and we were chatting a bit about some of the best engines about Thomas and his friends and all that. Well, I got a really dodgy text for it was like a fake, we've tried to deliver something to your house thing.
Right.
And the idea is they're like, to rearrange the delivery, click on this link. And I'm like, well, the URL isn't even a delivery company. It's the name of some newspaper in India, which sounds really weird. So I'm probably not going to click on that link. So I'm going to do a bit of research and look into it. But at the same time, in my letterbox was a sorry you were out slip.
Right.
That says we tried to deliver something at your gaff. But this slip wasn't on like the official paper of the post office, and nor was it the same color. It was a two-sided photocopy that was badly cut. Like it looked like it had been cut by scissors, not by a guillotine. And I was like, and it didn't even have my name on it. It just had the address. But I was like, hang on, this is odd. I've got this like proper spammy text. And I've got this proper dodgy slip through my door. Like, this has got to be a scam, right? And I looked into the thing, and obviously I was like, well, the text is definitely a scam. That's proven. But I was also like, oh, this is the kind of thing that looks really, really unprofessional, but they just wouldn't care about in Spain. So this could be legit. It could be legit that someone at the post office forgot to reorder the pads of paper for the while you were out slips, and it went, oh shit, there's only one left. Quick, photocopy them all, and then we'll just put the photocopy through people's door. So I was like, that could be a real thing that happens. So now I'm so confused. So I give my mom a ring. And I'm like, yeah, if you said you were sending someone over and it hasn't arrived, right? Did you get tracking for it? And she's like, no, I didn't get tracking. I'm like, oh, damn it. Because if she had the tracking and they just said delivery's been attempted, I'd be like, cool, I'll go down the post office tomorrow.
Yeah.
She was like, I don't know. I'm like, I'm going to have to go to the post office anyway. And anyone from anywhere in the world will know post offices are famed for not being super quick at what they do. There's, they're not rushing people in and out like a busy restaurant trying to free up tables.
No.
And nor is the pace of life in southern Spain very quick. So I was a bit concerned about like how much time is this going to take out of my day? I'm supposed to be working, yada yada yada. Anyway, I go down, hand over the slip. The woman's like, "What's the name?" Because the bit there where they'd printed it on, you couldn't see a name. It just had the address.
Right.
So I give her my name, and she's like, "I got it," and actually brings us something. So this thing was legit. The text wasn't, but the little slip through the door, full on legit. Open the package when I get home. Right? You want to guess any reason why something was being sent over to me? It ties in with last week's stream, actually.
No.
Remember what?
I remember I couldn't guess what.
So last week was Easter, if you recall.
Oh yeah.
So my mum sent us something over for Easter, and it's not an Easter egg, but it is made of chocolate, and is in the shape of one very useful engine. Not even joking. It is a chocolate Thomas the Tank engine from Marks and Spencer's. And after we were talking about that on Wednesday, I'm like, this is amazing. I was like,
No way.
The eggs can get to fuck. I've got a fucking chocolate Thomas. That sounds wrong, actually.
Have you, Joe?
it's on me living room table currently melting.
Oh god.
No, but the whole time my mum was like, "Oh, don't worry about the package I didn't get delivered. You probably think it's stupid." And I'm like, it's flipping amazing. I actually don't want to eat it because it's Thomas the Tank engine made of chocolate. I'm like, it's fucking brilliant. So I thought it was rather odd after having just been bantering about it on Wednesday in the stream and playing a train related game.
Oh yeah. What were the chances?
Exactly. Who are we getting attacked by now?
We're getting attacked by the French in Rennes.
Yeah.
But they've come with siege equipment, which is like unfair.
Which means they're serious.
It's not allowed. Not allowed to shoot the walls down and that.
They must get no further.
Oh, they did that, or did you do that?
They did that. It seems
They have some
necessary.
pretty serious siege dealy, but can you put guys there, or are they just gonna get hit by the siege stuff?
Oh, I'm gonna put guys there, Joe. Don't worry about that.
You not just put them like either side of it, like so that they're just like hiding around the corner. It's like position them so that like, can they get hit by like the projectiles, or do they stop firing as they advance in?
I'm just wondering if the AI will be that smart. Oh, maybe. No, they're shooting the towers to stop them from firing. I'm just getting the other guys off the wall because I think they're just going to start shooting at the walls. Right, so I'm just going to fast forward this because I think all they're going to do is start shooting a lot until they've exhausted all their ammo, basically. So what I'm going to do is
ammo. This isn't like Command Conquer where you can just be all like,
no.
Everything shoots forever until they get bored.
I'm also going to block these entranceways here for when they do inevitably get in.
They have to stop firing as they send their men in through, right? Surely there's like friendly fire on it.
Oh yeah, there's friendly fire, yeah.
So if you keep besieging a section of wall, you can't send your men through because you'll end up just killing them.
Yeah. If you keep shooting at that bit. Oh, they've started setting fire to the rest of the buildings behind. What are you doing, man?
What, your guys?
No, them, look.
Oh.
I don't know how projectiles set fire to stone and wooden buildings, but must be Hollywood-style projectiles.
Potentially, this game's going back a bit though, isn't it?
It is, yeah.
I guess it's just probably more for balancing the game, if you get me. There was probably a moment where like, oh, we'll just don't worry about whether it can or can't set buildings on fire. We'll just say it can, because otherwise it's a sort of pointless weapon and no one will ever bring it. It'll set one thing on fire and then it'll never get used again. Who are these dudes, by the way? They're the ones They don't have names, do they? You can't name them in this one, right?
This is Frank, Bob, Tony, Jeff, Frank
And
again,
repeat. Yeah. Bob 2.
Thomas, William, Patrick.
Chocolate Thomas. Actually, no, that sounds like it could be a slur. We'll not go with Chocolate Thomas. You know what I mean?
I think you should just stop talking about Thomas. Anything to do with Thomas.
It sounds rude, doesn't it?
It does.
If I say me Thomas,
Right.
So- see that guy who like was late at the meeting who had a little school on. He was just like, he's like, oh shit, they've all got into formation. I'm the one mug who sat there. These guys are not up for attacking, are they? They're
just shooting the towers so
bring
that they
them-
don't get shot on the way in, I guess. And now they're shooting. Is it that tower?
How do you know when they've ran out? I mean, I assume because they'll stop shooting.
Yeah, they're shooting that tower as well. It's just like irrelevant for them to do it because I don't control the towers, so like they won't be getting shot anyway. But you know, the AI is going to do what the AI is going to do. Could literally be like smashing me guys here who are stood in this giant gaping hole, but no,
Smashing
let's
you,
shoot.
Thomas.
Look at the. They're like a Formula One crew. This lot. Look at him. Oh,
I saw a video of a dude on Facebook who does this really good impression of a fake Grand Theft Auto run, where you can do it on the spot, and it's sort of like, I guess, moonwalk-esque when he does it. But what he does is he does it by like having one standing leg that he doesn't move, and concealing it.
Right.
And because the other leg's moving, your brain sort of just like fills in the gap and makes it look like both his legs are moving, and it looks like he's you know, when like a
Oh,
character
shit,
model
shit,
like, gets slow it down. Whoa.
Holy crap!
were you having a sip of your drink
I
there?
was having a little drink. I was like, oh, they're just gonna keep shooting. I'm just gonna have a little drink and off they went.
I love that. That's the moment, you know. You know when you're like you know when you're like cooking some pasta or whatever, and the missus is like, no, don't let that boil over. And you're
Yeah.
like, I won't. And then you turn around and it's fucking boiling over. Or like when you're making rice or whatever, you do the same. There's fucking horrible rice starch all the way all over the hob.
Yeah.
Those French horsemen are your rice starch. The panic in your voice when you had it like. Do you have it like six times?
I had it 6
speed or
times
whatever?
speed, yeah. And obviously these knights, I think they're gonna get that king killed. He's like, it's right here.
Wait, is
Little,
he the
little
king,
feather
or
helmet
is he just
here.
a king?
Well, he's
not
one of
like
their
the-
generals, I guess. But
The walls are no longer ours. The enemy have
no, they're
taken
running
them.
like right into me spearmen. They're just gonna get. This guy's gonna go down in a second. Watch this. Get him, lads. Get him.
Big guy in the fancy armor.
Get him. Get him. Oh my god, this guy's surviving like this is it.
He's a tough mother, isn't he?
He is, eh? Look at him. It's just like ow. Ow.
Like, ow, quit it.
Ow. Ow.
Those are pointy. You put someone's eye
Oh,
out.
there he goes. Down he goes.
Was
Oh,
that not worth a?
Down he goes as well. Boom.
Was that not worth a cutscene, or was he just a bit of a baller?
He was just a regular
Mates?
guy. This is the this is Mr. Cutscene if he gets hit. They're running away.
Oh, with his feathery hat.
Yeah, you little.
Wait, are we broken? Was that our unit who are currently?
Yeah. Why?
Is there a way you can like rally
What
them?
are-
Don't
Oh,
some of them
shit,
have like a
I'd-
special power?
Had no idea we had another unit on the wall. Get yourselves down there, lads.
No, Sean. The funny thing is, they all up with it better because they're firing big flaming balls at them, aren't they?
Yeah, no. Oh man, it's like a surprise. Oh god, they've already broken through my other unit though. Here they come.
And this is Ren that we're gonna get taken from us if we lose.
Yep.
So hang on, that's them off the wall now coming down, right?
Yeah, but they're gonna run into me.
Bit late at the party, aren't they?
All quite a big blockage, and I'm also gonna start shooting at them as well.
Oh yeah,
So-
we had them in the town centre to sort them out, didn't we?
Yeah, I didn't think we'd be able to hold out on the walls because there was too many
Yeah,
of them.
all the siege
so.
gear.
What are you
Yeah,
doing?
we're sort of set up to defend the town center, right? That's the idea.
What are these doing up here? They're like, you know what, lads, we'll come down in a minute.
Hang on. Do you think they have an embarrassing erection that they don't want people to see? It's like I'll come over, but just give us.
It's like when someone says, "Oh, we'll get up and go," and you're like, "Oh, just hang on a second, mate, because you need to."
Like at school, it's like lessons over. You know, come to break.
Just
I'll be along in a minute.
I'm just making a
minute.
few extra quick notes here.
It's like you put all your supplies away. I'm like mental notes, making them in my head. Don't worry.
Don't you worry about what I'm doing over here. You just leave.
You just leave, and then I'll stand up in my own good time.
Excuse me. Shoot at my. They are shooting at my general. Used to run down that alleyway. Off you go. Go shoot them. I've got these horses sorted.
No one tell them to hold the horses then.
They're doing the opposite of holding their horses.
No, they are rampaging through the city centre, town centre, I guess.
Whoa, whoa, whoa! Rampage your horses. Doesn't have quite the same message.
Well, it would
behind
make sense, wouldn't you? It would be like it would be in the opposite context, wouldn't you?
It would.
If someone wasn't holding their horses, you'd be like, rampage! Come on, man, rampage your horses already.
That's like
If someone was dawdling.
when you want to get from one bar to the next, and like people are just taking forever to finish their
Hey,
drinks.
come on, lads, rampage your horses.
Yeah.
If we remain true and steadfast,
Hang on, this is a
it will be ours.
right old weird
That's
Barney
done
going
there,
on over
isn't
here.
Well, these guys, are they upstairs with them, or are they just?
This
not
is a
coming
proper upstairs downstairs fight. This, Stuart. Half of them are gone up, half of them are staying down, and same for us. Don't know what's happened there, but
So
who
like
cares?
the two units like spilling over to up on the ramparts and
Oh, here we
in
go.
on the ground floor.
Yeah, I'm gonna get me guys to come around the back of this, and then straight up here, where there's a nice little crush of people.
I do like the way, like, I mean, I don't know if they're like, I guess they're not randomly generated. I assume every time you play these towns have always the same layout. Because you can't build or destroy cities, can you? Like,
No, yeah, like this particular city will always look like this. But as
Yeah,
you build new
so-
buildings in it, they do sometimes appear. Like as the city grows, the size of the place does increase. And if, for example, we built a church, right? So this is the small church that we built here.
right, okay.
So you do get sometimes
guess it does-
the buildings being added to it.
I'm just wondering if like the street layouts, etc., like if they were like smartly designed. I guess if like an actual human or game designer sat down and said, we kind of want the streets to lead in this way to make for like better. Oh, is that flowery head?
That
Kinda
was
down featherhead.
yeah. I don't want these mercenary spearmen to block us off. That's it's not what I'm after at all.
Yeah, so I was just wondering if like maybe like if
Streets
someone
are
had
so
decided like the game would be better if like they had streets in this way and like maybe like they were like, oh, if we have like all the roads leading to obviously the town center, but then we have this sort of like road that goes through here, it can create interesting strategies. I wonder if someone actually like got involved with that and was like, yeah, make some towns, but make each town like have a few interesting options for attacking and defending, or whether they were just like, yeah, fucking just plant the streets wherever you want, it doesn't matter. Just make sure they have walls. Or not, depending on the town.
I'm not sure. I mean, I'm assuming, yeah, they probably would have, like, tried to set it up sensibly so that you could have these interesting siege battles.
The enemy
Yeah, but I
are
wonder if that.
badly
Yeah, I mean that's what I'm
lost half their
assuming.
men.
You'd think they'd go with something like that, but I want to know if like whether or not they did, or whether or not like towns are just randomly generated around like some set rules, or whether each town they were like, it'll be fun if this particular town, which everyone will be after, has some like really interesting street layouts to like wind people up or make it harder to defend or something like that. You know, it'd be interesting to know like how much of the game design. Or how much of their time they put into designing these actual battlefields, or
Yeah.
at least that layout.
I'm not sure. Get him.
And I'm gonna move on to a cheeky different beer. Obviously, it's Friday, so I went and got myself a few nice
24
beers.
pack.
Well, I didn't get. I've bought the 24 packs before because there are some super cheap ones. But I like to buy a couple of beers that I think will be nice, and then just a load of shite beers because, after you've had a few, you're not gonna be able to notice the difference. So it's a waste of time, wasting your money on like you wouldn't buy a 24 pack of expensive beers. That'd be silly. Just buy 2 or 3, and then 22 shite beers. Who's to know? So that one was gassy. I got a couple. Had one. Oh, hello, long play. Caught us at our best moments. Best moments, me. Just talking about what a tightwad I am. But no, I had my first nice beer of the evening was something from the Basque country called Fruitopia, which is a apricot, guava, and passion fruit sour. But me, like a mug, had decided after dinner to brush my teeth. That's not the stupid decision. The stupid decision was drinking a sour beer after brushing your teeth, where it has the whole kind of like toothpaste and orange juice crap.
Yeah.
Do that, but with a sour beer, which is already like, tastes like sour candy, I guess. If it has that like proper full-on sour thing, which I like, but not when you've got toothpaste in your mouth. So the first probably the first third of this upsettingly expensive beer was not great, but then once I used the beer to wash the toothpaste out of my mouth, I was having a great old time. Lovely beer. Oh yeah, Longplay says I had a project manager that would slam 3 shots of expensive vodka, and then she could drink anything, and then would drink anything. I don't see the point.
That's a method right there, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't. I'm not a shots person. I know you like your whiskey, Jim, don't you? I know you don't do
drinking
shots.
it right now. Actually, I'm technically drinking a bourbon right now.
Yeah, but that's a sipping thing. You don't just like line up shots of this stuff.
No.
You're not like, a good classic Scottish whiskey. I'll just line up 8 shots of it and do them all now.
No. It's not a good way to drink it.
No, but yeah, Longplay drinks whiskey but sips. Exactly. I think that's the way you're meant to do it. As long as there's shots of people who are done with life or the evening. I would add, Longplay, if you any evening that results in shots is potentially you're at a point where I think you might not have your best decision making hat on, as it were. There's back in the before times around here, there were a few shot bars which I do enjoy, because they're these stupid places that essentially their speciality is they do like 150 like different shots or 100 different shots. And to be honest, before I'd go to a club, and if I saw and knew that I was just like, oh, I'm having a nice night, I'm a bit merry, but I'm still not dancing merry, because I don't like dancing. Don't like dancing sober, that's for sure. I'm too self-conscious. One of these people that thinks that anyone else in the bar is actually looking at them and thinking look at him, he's a shit dancer, which I know they're not. Like, literally, people are so self-involved they couldn't give a shit how you dance unless you are like absolutely mental. But
if you're like disturbing other people with how exaggerating your dancing is,
how weird your dancing is, like, if you're pulling some like really weird moves, like, I don't know, try and like do head spins when you're clearly not a break dancer, perhaps. But it was always a good idea to go, here, drinks are expensive in this club. You've got to pay to get in. You get your two drinks when you go in, because that's how it works in Spain in a lot of clubs. You like basically you don't pay to get in. You have to just like buy 2 drinks. It's a 2 drink minimum, so you basically buy your first 2 drinks and they give you a little ticket for it. But anyway, before that, we'd just go to the shop bar and be like, right, let's get a couple of shots each. And there were moments where you'd go in and I'd be like, right, you get the one that
shit.
tastes really nice. We
Sorry,
lost Cairo.
quick update. We got kicked out of the city by the
rebels.
Yeah, oh man, they've taken quite a lot of it. Okay, you know what? Plan B, let's get Alexandria. It's a coastal port anyway, so...
We're still fighting them, right? Like,
yeah.
We're still at war with them. Okay, cool. Well, see, that was very shot bar decision making from them, because it's gonna come back and bite them on the arse. But yeah, you have 2 choices when it comes to shots. You have the ones that are like really, really nice. You know, someone that's like, here's Bailey's maple syrup and like whipped cream on it, you know, like something fun or whatever, you know, it's like, yeah. Or where you do the stupid one called like the Superman, which is just like 5 spirits mixed together, and spirits that don't even go together. It's like, here's the shot that's like vodka, rum, whiskey, Bailey's, whatever. It's like fucking awful. It's just like someone emptied their liquor cabinet into a shot glass. And then
Are you looking for a quick route to
awful.
oblivion? Take this shot.
Are you looking for instant regret? Here it is. That's what they should call the shot. I feel like if I made a cocktail called instant regret, people would order it. Do you
They
know
probably
what I mean?
would. Yeah, they'd be, oh my god, that's such a cool name.
I love the fact that the idiots ordering this stuff with a stupid name were immediately American, James. I heard you start on the accent.
Was that American accent?
I think you started like the first few sentences.
I was trying to go for raw.
Oh, maybe the Ross. Oh, I thought it was an American accent. I don't know. Oh, Ross would do it, yeah.
Ross
You know
would
what
definitely
Ross
do it.
I thought you were just like, yeah. Yeah, the Yanks would be straight on that. If we made a drink called Instant Regret, they'd want to buy it. Excellent marketers.
I'm not sure we could really level that sort of accusation at any other country, considering the drinking culture of the United Kingdom.
Just ourselves couldn't either. But I've literally just finished a story about drinking the 5 different spirits in one drink, because I was like, I remember looking at the menu and being like, that looks fucking awful, and then turning to me mate and going, we must have it, and then ordering them, and then that night ending badly.
What you remember of that night ending badly?
No, I think this was definitely even it was the lass's birthday, and
Shit, we have like no money left.
and she went home and I didn't. She was done with her birthday. I continued celebrating our birthday for another like 5 hours with a mate of mine. Well, with like a mate of ours who was like in town, like staying in town for it, and he was staying at ours, and I was like, oh, he's made the trip, man. He's got to head back home tomorrow. Like, take him out, and then like me violently ill in the sink, and you know
That old chestnut.
Yep, and then actually I do remember, because at the following day she was having a meal with some of our mates, and by about 6 in the evening I was still not corpus mentis. And she was like, I can tell them not to come around. I'm like, you can't tell your mates not to come around for like a dinner at ours, because your boyfriend went out and got too drunk on your birthday night and is hungover to shit right now. It's like, you can't cancel your birthday plans with these people because of me. It's like, worst case scenario, I just don't come out of the room. Do you know what I mean? You can just have have your dinner, and I'll just pretend I'm not here. In the end, I powered through like an absolute trooper, and enjoyed our evening of raclette, which is amazing. If you've ever had, actually, I don't know.
Raclette, is that like the
melted
it's a
cheese wheel?
Yeah.
It's a bit, yeah. We don't have a big wheel, because we're not as fancy as that. I know me folks have borrowed the big wheel one before, because they know a guy who runs this restaurant.
They've got a wheel.
Does, like,
They've got a
raclette.
wheel guy.
They have the raclette wheel guy. We don't. We just have like the cheeky like raclette grill kind of thing, where you have to use the slices of raclette and then individually grill them. But yeah, we were having that, and I couldn't resist the allure of the raclette, so I had to attend, as hungover as I was. But I sat like drinking water all evening whilst enjoying potatoes and cheese. Not an option for
That's a
someone
good one.
with a lactose intolerance like yourself, though, James.
No, I wouldn't be going anywhere near any raclette.
No, not a wise option for those that cannot process cheese, eating large quantities of it. The
Hail, my king.
It says my 21st birthday started with a 500 ml of rum and rum with some ice. And then went to a variety of rum drinks for the next 4 hours and ended up some sort of Irish themed bar eating peanuts. Yeah, that could have went worse. To be fair, I think you've done all right. I can't do spirits. I'm a bit of I don't know if I'm essentially a lightweight. I think it's I know me pace. I know what works. I just I don't know. I just don't like. I think I drink too quickly for anything that's too strong. That's the problem.
Glory to your name, sire.
I think in the beer industry they call it quaffing, don't they? If you just
I
have
guess.
a quaffable beer, you just keep
Yeah,
slurping
I
it.
prefer nursing a stronger drink than drinking lots of beer. It fills me up. Too
Well,
much.
that's what I like. It kind of like. That's how it kind of works for me. That's the advantage of beer over spirits. That eventually you hit a point where you can't fit any more beer in. Like by design, it can stop you drinking too much of it.
How many times has that ever happened, Joe?
How many times you seen me be proper sick of the drink? There you go.
Yeah, exactly.
That's
But
'cause
you
it works.
you haven't
but that's
stopped.
no, but how many times I've stopped at the point where I've had to be sick, and that's not a sick through like alcohol. That's the sick through quantity.
That's
Like,
almost certainly
if you-
also sickness through alcohol, Joe.
No. I've had
That's
where,
like someone
you're
when
proper
they've had like loads to drink and they're like staggering around that, and then they're like, "Oh, I'm not drunk. I'm just tired."
Oh no! Don't get me wrong. I've definitely had the spews when I've like had too much and my body's went right poison mode. Get that out there. But I've also had moments where I'm just like, there are bits where you've got just so many like liters of beer in you. You're just like, this one's gonna be slow. Like you're drinking it, and you're not drinking it as fast because you feel that full, and like. That won't happen with shots or whatever, and like very like weak beers, like they do session IPAs or just like traditional ales in the UK. Those are all like 3%, and you can sit and you can be like, you can finish like a long evening of drinking and be like, I've had 8 pints, and you're like, I'm not saying you're like gonna go and drive or anything, but. The next morning you wake up and you still have Saturday, if you get me. Whereas like you go to somewhere like these fancy beer places, you're trying X, Y, and Z. Remember that one that was like 20 quid? That one beer that was 20 quid in that place we went
Oh,
in
Newcastle,
and I was
yeah.
like,
Nah.
yeah, and I was like, that can get the fuck. It's not worth. I'm like, no matter how good it is, there's not a beer worth 20 quid in the world.
Hey, look
Get
at
the
these
fuck.
jazzy fellas.
I know. They've golden navy and white.
It's a good colour combination, this.
I guess they are. I don't mean this to sound racist, but these character models, because they're a bit old and a bit raggedy, they look like us in our nativity plays. Do you remember what we looked like in our like school nativity plays when we were like the wise men? Like obviously in like finer detail they'd look excellent, but in that case they do look a lot like us back in the day. Well, not you. I think you played a sheep, didn't you?
I played a sheep
in one of them.
in a way only I could, which was amazingly well.
Walls are no match for the valor and force of
I thought, you know what, we need
Well
someone
played.
to really carry the barn animals for this nativity. Let's go with James. And I was,
Leading sheep.
I was only too happy to oblige. I was like, yeah, I'll sort this crew out. Don't you worry.
Long play says you take 1 liter of Belgian ale over 6-8 cans of American beer. Oh, don't get me wrong. I think us two long play unanimously.
Oh yeah.
Long play asks, I hear so many British people talk about those. Do you guys seriously do that many nativity plays? I don't know, but I think the nativity play is something that we like festive theatre. That's for sure. If you know pantomime and stuff like British culture, it's just that it's probably the only time most of us go to the theatre.
I myself have performed in over 600 nativity plays.
You're like the Gerard Depardieu of fucking nativity plays.
If someone
His-
says we're
his-
going to do a nativity play, I'm like, don't worry, mate. I've still got my sheep costume.
Yeah, and people are like, we've told you you're not allowed near that school anymore. Stop showing up to the prayers.
Look, I just want to play a sheep in nativity, right? What's wrong with that?
You're like little Davy is shit. He's like, he couldn't even be my fucking understudy. Little Davy can get the fuck. Jimmy's here. Born to play a sheep. But yes, we do the nativity plays, but also Jim and I both went to Catholic schools, so the whole God thing is ever present. So
we have been
like
saved from a lifetime
plays.
of damnation, though. So that's I guess that's cool.
I didn't get confirmed though, so I might
Actually, I didn't get confirmed. Was that? I thought baptism was the thing that worked. You tell me that you have to get confirmed as well.
I think you've got to get confirmed at the end. I thought that was like
feels like a bit of a jip.
I thought the confirmation was like literally like this is the moment where you've finished the trial period and now you've got to pay for Amazon Prime.
You know what it is though. I bet after confirmation there's another thing as well. It's like it's never ending. It's just that was for level 2 acceptance into heaven. You need to get to level 7. Oh,
hang on, because it's this. Is it not a sacrament? Is that it?
I don't know. You're asking the wrong.
Here we go. Baptism, confirmation, Eucharist, penance, anointing of the sick, marriage, and holy orders. Don't know what that really means, but you've got to like do most of them. I think it's like collecting Pokemon cards if you get them all like your class. Because there's some you can't get, because I think the holy orders one you can't do because that would make you a priest.
I don't know.
And you can't be a priest and get married, so you've got to do one or the other. Oh, hang on. I guess it's not be all and end all. I think it's.
Oh Jesus! What are you all doing?
I think it's just bonus points for being Catholic. I think that's the way it works. Like, I don't know. Like, it's like subscription levels. You know, like if you have the super duper ultra deluxe package, you've done all the sacraments and you're pretty much on the right track.
Completed it.
You've platinumed it. If you are like baptized and do your confession, you confess and are anointed and do your confirmation and get married, like that's like 5 of 7. There's a 6th one that people can do that you can probably get. Whatever's, and and I think like that means you're pretty good, and if you do none of them you're not. Like if you don't
schmack, just charge the snazzy pants.
Oh
dear me, calm down fella.
He does.
I know,
dude, like I know we're in a crusade, but like
it's 2021, man. Calm down. Read the room.
Yeah, this room takes some reading, doesn't it?
Get stuck in, fellas, away.
They're having a grand old time, aren't
they? Yeah. Everybody running.
What faction are they?
This is the Egyptian faction.
All right. So we have Egyptians. Do we have Arabians? Are they a faction in their own right?
The Moors are a faction in this.
Oh, are they Moors? Were they Moors or Moors? We couldn't decide on this, could we?
I don't know. Are they all dead on this? Everyone cheering. Yeah, they are. Listen. Whoa! Drinks are on me, fellas. Whoa! I survived.
Come back. No shots though. No shots. They'll make us sick. The funny thing is so here in Spain, when you want to say the coast is clear, you know, they actually say there are no Moors on the coast. That's their actual expression. Like the coast is clear of Moors.
They haven't updated that in the intervening 1,000 years, or I guess 700 years since the issues.
It was like 15. Was it 1500s?
Still, half a millennium seems like enough time to wind that up.
But you can't. We've said it before though. You can't like do this with like language. You can tell people.
No, you
tell
could.
People what
I just mean like you would have just thought they would have like figured it out themselves. You know, not saying like wipe it out as in don't give someone the choice to choose to say that, but like just
But
update it
someone
a bit.
go, why are we saying there's no
Yeah.
Moors when we could just say there's nobody
Yeah.
in the there's nobody on the coast?
Yeah, this man. Go on, get him. Oh yeah. Oh, schmack. Got him. I'm gonna call this this guy Brave Ben. Just went wandering in all on his own.
You missed it there, man. He's got to be Brave Dave, the rave.
Brave Dave, King of the Rave.
Obviously. He's having a great time.
This is a clear victory.
Yes, it is.
To only men of
I
great
love that guy
virtue
who's
and
like,
power.
he only has like 8 voice cues, right? I've played this enough to be like, this guy has a. Was that guy called Captain Yamam?
I don't know. I didn't see. Because if it was, that's fantastic.
Captain Yamam.
Glory, honor, victory.
I think whoever went up to him at like
Our
the
courage and honor
at the
have
like
conquered.
what's it is it the rules of engagement where they like when they meet up and talk about how like the fight's gonna go down?
Right.
Do you think they went like, I am King Rufus the Cruel of England. What are you? I'm Captain Yamam.
Yeah, just like
He's like, okay, Captain Yamam. Longplay says he rides Yamam home after the war.
Yes.
Nice.
God's servant.
Captain.
God's
I'm sure that we'll look back over that if Captain Yamam. Brilliant.
oh, that's the other thing on this game as well. Like, if you fight like on one side of the bridge and the other side of the bridge, it does actually, if I remember correctly, create like a choke point field battle. So
Yeah.
there's like a point at which you can actually, defend.
So
or
those
you have to
bridges are
cross.
actual like in-game
Defendable.
mechanics.
Yeah, like, yeah.
Yeah, because I mind on Civ they do the thing like units crossing rivers, etc., etc. They have like bonuses to attack and defense, obviously, but they don't have you fighting actual
Oh god.
what you call them, like battles on them. Oh, Tostig. Oh no, that's us. We're Tostig. Did you know? Oh, Toxvig was the Dane,
Well,
wasn't he?
Tostig's still kind of a bit of a.
Anglo-Saxon name, I'm guessing.
Aye.
Are we still skint, by the way, or we made some?
No,
more now?
we were making a bit of wedge
Mad
now.
Bank.
I disbanded a lot of units that were unnecessary, but this is like a unit of quite strong, like full plate
Come and get me.
swordsmen. So
Shiny
I'm
dudes.
not even sure these spearmen could take that out. Even though I massively outnumber them, all I've got access to is spearmen. Right, okay, I'll tip it slightly further in my favor, and we'll just go mob them next turn.
Is there's still places in the UK we haven't got though. We were supposed to be.
Yeah, I'm gonna get rid of these rebels, and then I'm gonna take Henry here, and we'll leave Dublin for now. We'll go north and we'll capture Scotland.
I look forward to fighting you.
Where's he maybe from?
Oh, I think that's supposed to be Danish.
Because he sounds like that guy out of Family Guy. Is he called Orby or something? It's
Sire.
he's meant to be I don't know. I think they call him Special in the show, but it just sounds like the voice they do for him. He's like, "I'm ready to fight you now."
Oh yeah.
It's like it's not a PC joke, but it sounds like the same voice actor does them both. I'm ready to fight you now.
We've got King Rufus the Cruel, Prince Robert the Mean. I mean, I guess I'm playing accurately to the English way.
Fighting everyone.
Go on then, Spain, you can have a ceasefire.
You have made goodbye.
Are we at peace with anyone yet? Because
We're at peace with the Danes and Spanish now. The Dane. Oh no, hang on, I didn't. No, I
chilling
didn't.
outside our gaff.
I didn't accept the Danish one actually.
Who's chilling outside of
In God's
Oh no, they're rioting
outside
again.
of Nottingham? Also, what's the crack on with those snails?
Hang on, I'm gonna try and Okay, we've got to get this population happy, so we're going daily races and lower tax rate. That should. Then they'll be like, all right, okay, I guess it's not too bad then.
Love some races. Okay, I am exactly the same, right? Like,
Imagine this with Formula One every day, Joe. That's what's happening
well,
right
this
now.
is that, like, that's what I was like, daily races. Like, during lockdown, when there was like no sports on or whatever, you know, I was just like, this is the perfect time to have loads of sports. Everyone's like stuck at home needing something to watch. I mean, it worked for like Netflix and that. Like, everyone watched like so much telly and media during like the lockdowns and that. But I was just sat there going like, oh, I wish they just got like the live sports events on and like just sorted them out like behind closed doors. And it took them like 6 months to get like Formula One back on, but they did and got the whole season and still got like 16 out of 20 races. And they were basically on every other weekend. I was like, this is amazing. And then in some cases, they were on like 3 weekends in a row. And like the last was like, is a race on? I'm like, fucking right, there is triple header, three races in 3 weekends. This is amazing. I love it. And like, listen to other people going, it's just too much. And I'm like, this is people on like podcasts.
Oh, it's just too much. I can't deal with it.
Yeah, no, but like people on like podcasts about Formula One. I'm like, you're meant to really like the sport. They're like, oh, it's just too much of it. It's like, it's too much. It doesn't make it as good as. I'm like, I will sit and watch every bloody practice session, every qualifying session, every session of the, you know, of the race, you know, the race itself as well. I'll watch it all. I'll say, like, we're stuck at home. We're and yeah, Longplay says that. We were talking about the F1 stuff earlier because I was talking about it's Jacques Villeneuve's birthday today, and he was on the like the esports thing. This is the one thing that's like kind of got me into esports is the like the motorsport crossover sim racing. That's as close as I'll go over because it's like them, you know, attempting to digitally replicate something I like in real life, and the people doing it need the same skills. Like, someone who's good at FIFA will not automatically be good at football, and vice versa.
I think
Like,
we'll find that most
probably,
people that are good at FIFA are probably not very good at football.
you know, but there's
Actually, no, it's a
like,
very
it's that
popular
kind of thing.
game.
It's like,
Isn't it?
yeah, but there's also like you've got the like, you know, at least like when they're doing the sim racing, they've got like a set of pedals and like a proper real iron wheel with like, you know, force feedback, and the games are programmed to like, you know, simulate like tire wear, you know, heating, the traction on and offline, etc., etc. Like a lot of these things, and like even like the shifting of weight as a car goes around a corner, like, you know, they do it. You know, a lot of the high end like sim racing games, they're just about like the realism of the actual driving experience, not necessarily being like a feast for the eyes, or even that fun to play if you're not into the real life experience, if you get me. In the same way like a flight simulator is about replicating how it is to fly a plane, not the fun aspects of flying a plane. Like, you know, I mean, you can probably still have a lot of fun if you want to like feel what it is like to fly a plane, but otherwise like, you know, the average player would be like, you know what, can you not just press the go button and let us do loop-de-loops kind of thing, like in a flight sim. You'd be exactly the same with with probably some of these like racing sims. You'd be sat there going like, this is too difficult, like the car slides all over the place. So yeah. A long place says there's fun aspects of flying a plane. I've been up in loads and it's mostly boring. Yeah, it's like that, but I'm very much the same with driving.
Right.
I think driving is like incredibly boring. I mean, the action itself of driving a car, not driving a car in a race. Like, I love going go-karting and crack around, but you know, like the actual just like driving on a road is just like, yeah, it's just get from A to B. use your car as a tool to get from A to B, and I don't see the enjoyment. But like in a race or racing car, like that would be really fun. I'd like that to be replicated as accurately as possible, and then you have the sort of like satisfaction of, you know, when something's difficult, it's inherently more rewarding. But also, there is that like higher barrier to entry, where you're like, I had to put all this work in to get to this level of being shit. So when I do something slightly good, I'm like, oh my god, that was so good. Whereas, like, and there's a time and place for everything. Like, I'm not like a sim lunatic, even though I have talked about doing the whole train simulator thing. Like, I like that as well. But in the very same thing, I'll play a racing game with my wheel, but I'll also play Burnout or, you know, any kind of mad shit like that.
Mm-hmm.
There's a time and a place, and there's moods. Do you know what I mean? Like,
Oh yeah, definitely.
They have lost half their men.
where you can, I can play anything depending on like how I'm feeling. You know,
I've definitely got me. You know, you've got your preferences. I can't ever see myself borrowing a very, very few, like putting a platformer on or anything. I play a few, but it's not my go-to, even if I was in a platformery mood.
No, and then again, I think there's a certain like subgenre as well. So even if you did like platformers, you have to have like. Sometimes you just want something like that silly and mindless, and other times you want something that's like super challenging, like, you know, like Celeste, which I do enjoy. But yeah, also it's like it's about how long a game takes as well.
Mm-hmm.
Like it needs to, like, because this is more of a long form game, I guess.
Yes.
Is if we're gonna call them, like, I don't know how to, like, how you differentiate or even talk about games, but I have like games that I call like you pick up and play games, where you're like, oh, I've got 5-10 minutes free or something, you know, I'm gonna chuck that on, or, you know, I'm not heading out quite yet, or I'm waiting for the last to get ready. What do I throw on and have like 10-15 minute games of? Like, you know, FIFA is one of those games where, oh, just quickly FIFA, NHL, any of the like sports games that have like a play the game for like 5-10 minutes, and that's how long a match takes. Like, those are great for that.
Yeah.
But I don't know if I'd ever want to play like FIFA with 45-minute halves, which I think they don't even let you do anymore, because it's like, one, no one plays it, and two, they're probably like,
that would be horrible.
don't get people to.
The game runs too quickly, doesn't it? Like the game it's way more fluid than an actual game of football is. So
because it's designed to like be played in like 4-minute halves.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, you don't want people scoring 2 or 3 goals every 4 minutes, because a 45-minute game would end like 90-91 as the score.
Yeah.
So I mean, it's like the game isn't mechanically designed for that, and it's not and they've taken football and made it like less ebbs and flows to make it more arcadey, even though, you know, even if you've updated it to be like super realistic, just the mechanics of like how quickly you can turn the game around with a good shot and a goal is not like football. It's not, that's like it's not how it works. For, you know, as sports, with certain sports, football's a very like long form. It's not as long form as like cricket or whatever, you know, but it is something where like there's the flow of the game, if you get me. There's a reason the stats, when they show the stats on football, they'll show you like last 10 minutes kind of thing, like that's important information to see who's like in the ascendancy, who's having like a good 10 minutes of controlling the game to turn it into a goal. Obviously, like, you can still always have the kind of thing when you're watching football and go, wow, this was just a brief moment of brilliance against the run of play and they scored a goal. But generally, you know, there's rises and falls in football, and they're very like, there's long periods of a team playing well, and then there's long periods of the other team playing well, and that's it. Like, it goes back and forth like this, and this game is much like this. You couldn't go, I've got 5 minutes, I'm gonna just throw on Medieval 2 Total War for a bit.
No, it's not. Yeah, it's not a game that's often
sit down,
dipped in and
settle in,
out
get
of.
your
Yeah.
drink.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's one of those ones where you can very quickly look at the time and go, "Whoops, where did all that go?"
Yeah, and you've got to get in. You've got to get into the flow of it as well. I think it's one of these games where you work towards like I guess almost like a flow state of the game, where it's like these kind of games work the same as like for me like work, and I don't mean that like as a negative, but that you'll sit at them for a bit and you probably like for the first 10 15 minutes you maybe like not that into them or you're not that focused on them, and then you hit this like proper flow state, and then and as you said, then you're like, oh shit, it's been 4 hours.
Yeah.
I wasn't even thinking. It just everything started like once it starts becoming like automatic to you, once you have the automatisms as it were, as it be called in football coaching or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Or once you've started to hit that point after like 20 minutes playing the game where you're not really thinking about, you're like, yeah, click on him, tell him to build that, yeah, and you're not, and that's sort of like receded back into your subconscious almost, and then you're just kind of like, yeah, like eyes glaze over, but you're just like in machine mode.
Oh yeah,
Oh, is that a cloud?
it's a storm going on, so they've probably
Ah,
gonna take some damage being in the storm. It's another one of those Inquisitors.
oh man, Spanish as well. Did anyone
Uh,
suspect it?
I didn't. Don't know what he's doing, just popping up in a forest on the northern coast of France. But hey, who cares? He's enjoying himself.
Who are the Greys as well?
Rebels.
They're still about.
Yeah, look at that. They've like torched all that land as well.
Those dicks.
It's
they
just
start
it's a
wine as
very
well?
very large army, and I don't want to. I keep getting attacked at Ren, so I can't really like step out for more than 5
Same, yeah.
seconds. Yeah.
And what about outside of York? Were they rebels as well? Was it Nottingham? Sorry, but did we have
I killed the rebels outside of Nottingham and the Danes outside of the rebels outside of York and the Danes outside of Nottingham, and now I'm gonna take Henry and wander up towards
Edinburgh.
Edinburgh. Yeah, we're gonna take
'Cause we
some
need
guys
this.
on the way.
We can't really call ourselves English if we're not going to go harangue everyone on the island we live on.
Exactly.
If we can't be dicks to everyone else on this tiny island of ours, well, to be honest, in a slightly different timeline, we would probably not even be English.
Yeah, oh my
We were
God.
right on the board, aren't we?
You are not my liege. Hail, my king.
Let's get him. Oh dear. What have I done? Oh no.
To battle.
How do I do this? I've made a grievous error. Oh, hang on. No, I haven't.
Hail, my king.
Let's pay some of these fellas
Hail, my
and then
king.
attack them.
As you command, my liege.
Do we fighting?
Must stay
Small
your
rebels.
Welsh
I'm just
rebels.
getting rid of them before they causes beef. You know, just sick of the beef.
This is a very William the Conqueror-esque approach, wasn't that his kind of? That was his dealy right at the start. He was just like, let's do it. Let's just burn all the rebels. I'm the king now. Get over it.
Oof. My God, they're on a precipice right there, aren't they? Oh, tell me these other guys are below me. I'm just gonna shoot.
Men,
Right. Oh no, they're up
Isn't
there.
it?
Damn it, I've got to go uphill. Whatever.
Do you get like winded running up a big hill as well?
Yeah.
or does
How
that,
did they get up here in the first place? What on earth possessed them?
It's like, you ever seen those like pictures of like mountain goats in like the weirdest places?
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
How did you get there?
I'll tell you what is
How
cool
did-
about this game. When you upgrade the armor on them, it actually shows on the unit model. So like,
yeah.
no armor, they would be wearing like padded. By the time this gets to gold, they'll have like little bits of plate armor. So
Oh, nice.
It's quite a nice little mechanic. Like these longbowmen have mail because they're upgraded to the next level of. Obviously, some units start off at a higher level, so like these don't have any shield, but they're already mailed knights. So, but it's a nice little detailed touch that they added to the game as. Quite a good
Especially for
little thing.
something from 2006. Is this supposed to this from? This game is like 15 years old.
It's very old. Apparently, they're going to remaster it, so we should have waited.
No, this has been a good. I like our weekly streams of our sort of like long form experimentation game where. I mean, I think this is better for it as well. I don't know how well this would actually work. Like if we did like a long form story game, we just wouldn't know what was happening, would we?
No.
We've had to stop streaming games with any kind of story aspect in them because we just forget what the fuck's going on, or we don't pay attention to it. Longplay says remastering is a scam. I do agree, but well, also yeah. I mean, in some cases you have no choice though. It's like the game. I can't remember the last remaster I bought. I don't know. Maybe I already bought one. I think it was Burnout was the last one because. Yeah, it was a game we liked on PS3, and I was like, we'll play it again. Actually, I remember why I bought it because I wanted 100% it on the PS3, but I changed PS3s during, and there was this one minor challenge which I could just never manage, even though I'd managed it the first time I'd played through, but any other time I played through, just never looked out and completed this challenge, so I never got that secret like 101% completed thing. So
you failed basically, Joe.
So I failed, but then they re-released it on PS4. But I really wanted to try the multiplayer, because at the time of PS3, didn't play online that much and didn't have like mates that I played online with. But with PS4, I did. But Longplay does make a good point. Rebuy the same stuff over and over again, which benefits none of the people who worked on it. Yeah, that seems. But it feels like a lot of releases are like that, and not just remasters. But it's a sad state of affairs how little the people that actually work on the game seem to benefit from the games once they're released. And how awfully they're treated during the making of them as well.
Yeah, we got through in there the Thomas the Tank Engine stream the other night, didn't we? The exploitative nature of
to break out the chocolate Thomas the Tank Engine. But yes, there's the exploitative nature of the industry is just unreal, which is why I like, is grueling as like being an indie dev can be, and the people I've spoken to are like, it is damn grueling. It almost feels at points where it's like as grueling as working for somebody else, just in different ways. But at least at the end of the day, if you do get like burnt out or need time for yourself, then it's you can not. I mean, not if you. I mean, there will be certain points where maybe your like livelihood depends on you just having to get the work done. Like that, I understand. But like, if you need to take some time for yourself, you can, and then go back to your work.
Yeah.
Whereas, you mightn't be afforded that luxury if you work for a big. You might get. You might just not have the choice, or it might be like, yeah, you know what, we're doing crunch now, and in a month or two, it comes the time to pick who goes on to the next project and who doesn't get their contracts renewed. The guy who said, "Oh, I needed some time off." It's not really fair on them. They're putting this a horrible like damned if you do, damned if you don't situation, aren't they?
Yeah, exactly.
Is not fair, but I guess until I know over in the US, like Jesus, like they don't seem to be able to unionize at all. But it's not like over in Europe, they don't have to crunch either. Even though like we have a longer, I guess a longer history with unions in certain industries. But yeah, that's basically why we prefer the. Was that guy just getting bumped? But yeah, that's why we prefer the indies.
Yeah.
And
Nice.
as Lockley says, union busting is built into most states' actual constitutions. Yeah, this is the country that thinks companies are people, doesn't it? So corporations are people. It's like, how do you fight against that when I mean, I'll tell you one place for all its weird faults and peculiarities that I do appreciate is France's approach to unions. Like,
Yeah,
sweet Jesus, they like
they strike every
if
5
something's-
minutes.
they do strike every 5 minutes, which there is a point where you do end up with like it becomes like as common as like the trains aren't running because there's a strike, and they do overplay their hand sometimes. I think that's the issue. Like, it's not like going on strike is the nuclear option, but if you use it every other day, then people will be like, well, we're not missing anything from you now because since you're on strike half of the year, we just like in our heads assume that's how much work you'll get done, like half as much as we expect. If you keep going on strikes, you can't just you can't expect your demands to be met because it's like a kid who like throws a hissy, isn't it? In the supermarket every time they go, eventually their parents just stop listening to them and stop buying them the sweets. They're like, you know what? I'm not even embarrassed by you anymore, kind of thing.
Yeah.
It's like the effect is reduced, diminishing returns. I guess it is. It's probably a more scientific.
Diminishing
way of putting
tantrum
it,
returns.
but essentially, but
Hail my king.
but sweet Jesus, like if there are certain industries where if you work for them in France, you're like, God, they've got it good, and you're like, yeah. But they have only been paid 9 months of every year for the last 20 years because the 3 months of the year every year they won't strike.
Yeah.
So,
That is their
who
choice,
knows? They've
though.
got
Journey planned out.
it is that well it is their choice, and it's also not your choice because
I
if
guess
you're in a
that's
union
the
and then you
thrust
scab,
upon
you
it.
kind of
Yeah, exactly.
especially if the unions want to look like they're busy as well. You have this horrible situation as well where like certain big unions are like, let's go on strike for everything. You're like, why am I going? So I work in the games industry. Why am I going on strike for milk producers? Because I belong to the same union. Do you know what I mean? That's a silly example, but there are some cases where it's like, oh shit, we have to go on strike as well. So
Yeah, you're kind of roped into it, aren't you?
yeah, and you can't be a scab.
Go on then.
I know back in my dad's hometown, the after the miners' strikes, there are still families that like regularly get scab spray painted on their door like 40 years later.
Really?
Like, because they scabbed during the miners' strike. Oh yeah, like it was like for like mining villages, that kind of shit was obviously like people like, we went without food and you caved and like you ruined our position by caving, but they were like, if I didn't cave, my family would have starved to death. Like, I had no choice, but like, you're like, could you not have went one more day? Yeah, we would have got all we wanted. It's
One more day, yeah, because...
but not like it was going to get finished in one more day, but you know what I mean. Like,
yeah, no, I get it. Yeah, it's a difficult position, isn't it? Like,
people felt betrayed, and I have no doubt that those people who scabbed, there were probably a lot of them that were forced into it. There were definitely some people who were like, fuck this is my chance to make loads of money. I'll get all the best shifts. But then there's also people who were like, like, I had no other choice. I am really, really sorry that I had to go into work, but I needed like a day's wages.
yeah.
Or I would have lost my house. I would have lost everything. Like, I would have loved to have stood strong with years, but I honestly didn't have a choice. But some people still won't see it. But,
No. That's a cool thing as well, with quite historically, not accurate, but it's quite cool. You can place sharpened stakes down as longbowmen. It's like a defensive barrier for getting charged by horses.
Horses.
Yeah, protects your position a
Because
little bit.
they're potentially very weak to.
Oh yeah,
to
no, archers to cavalry, yeah,
horses.
smashed.
But spearmen to cavalry, they win, right? Spearmen beat.
Well, yeah, I mean,
Cavalry,
it does.
generally.
It depends. Yeah, it's something. It's as easy.
Theoretically.
Yeah. You're talking about a heavily armed horse and a bloke in full plate armor on top, smashing into a unit of Scottish peasants with sharpened stakes. The knights are going to win that one.
Yeah, but in most mechanical, in like most games, mechanically they give like the spearmen an advantage because I assume they can just stand there and point their sticks upwards, and the horses will run into them, which is, I guess, the dealy.
Oh, hello. The chat.
Oh no, I'm just reading. I'm reading through it. I'm reading through the Battle of Blair Mountain. It's
You're gonna have to update me because I'm. I think
in the Battle of
I'll get.
York Mountain.
Yeah. Well, this is Edinburgh now, Joe. This is Edinburgh.
Edinburgh Mountain. Sorry.
Oh, hello, some pikemen. Not gonna be much use on the walls though.
No, I mean, if we quickly throw in the TLDR version of it, which I did read it, so I'm kind of. There are people fucking bombing the shit out of miners, and like getting the army involved, and fuck me,
And what?
getting troops as well, like military intervention to sort out like I don't know. I mean, what's the technical term of it? I mean, it's like union workers going on strike, but like, what's it called? Not civil action. 'Cause that's when you protest things like labor action, I guess.
Maybe.
But yeah, Longplay sums it up as this: the reason US doesn't have much in the way of unions. Government just murders union organizers. Yeah, it's.
Couldn't understand why that might stop people from unionizing.
Yeah, and
Unionizing? Is that the term?
to unionize, yeah, to form a union, I guess, or
Wouldn't fancy one of facing
No.
one of these buggers. Look at them with gigantic two-handed axe. Go on. Boom! Oh, smashed him.
he got good.
He did. Get him, boys. Oh, oh, oh! He got it. Watch this. Bang! One down.
I like that guy's just on his Todd like swinging at nobody. He has had one too many whiskeys, hasn't he? He's not sipped his whiskeys. That dude is just like
It's not. Well, that was a common thing before a battle. Always like drinking heavily so you could. I don't know. I guess not poop yourself so much.
I don't know. I've come close after drinking too much. And also, is that not just a before anything thing for a lot of us? Just drink heavily.
Yeah. Oof.
The only thing I don't drink heavily before is driving.
Soldiers have proved their worth today. The enemy's walls belong to us now.
Jeez. Just read what Longplay said.
Yeah. Yeah. There's a from this side of the pond. It's very weird. Seeing like some of the reactions. I just love the way that like the word like socialism is like almost poisonous over there, and it's used incorrectly
Yeah.
all the time, as if like it's a dirty word, as if like socialists go out and like kill people or whatever. I mean, and don't get me wrong, like people would fire back with something like, oh well, you know, Stalin and the communists, etc., etc. It's like, yes, but
Not quite.
yeah, but not every ideology can be judged on its flaming lunatics. Like,
Yeah, I mean,
there's
wasn't Donald
there's-
Trump
there's
the
a lot
president
of
of the United
nuance.
States? Does that mean
Yeah.
we have to stop, like, I guess, Western democracy? Because that guy was an idiot.
yeah. Well,
Oh, get him.
it's that whole kind of thing. That's like, I mean, it's sad to watch, but it's the UK has it as well. But this kind of like the two-party system is not at all fun, but also it's kind of like it's great for the two parties, isn't it?
Oh, yeah.
Because they don't even have that whole like the enemy of my enemy is my friend, which, you know, in countries with like a more diverse political spectrum, I guess, has that option. You know, it's there's more to play for. There's more factions. Like, this game would be far less interesting if it was just you versus one other sieve, I guess I'm going to call it. But
Mm-hmm.
you know, the fact that there are different factors that, you know, it also means, I mean, in the case of this game, it doesn't mean that more people get what they want. That's not how that works, because it's a lot of people rampaging around taking over shit. But for, you know, for voters, choice is good. We had the alternate vote referendum a few years ago, which failed, and it's a shame because it's mathematically a very good system where it's like if you know, no matter who you are, if you were like super opposed to something, you could vote for like every party bar the one that you really hate,
Yeah.
and you never waste a vote, because if your vote was to get wasted, it would just get given to another party, which is this is the one thing that would work. Yeah, Longplay says ranked voting is excellent. Yeah, I think it is, because
It is, yeah.
and I use this example all the time whenever I talk about politics. And don't worry, I'm only 2 beers in, so it's not becoming one of those things. But politics is like having your mates decide to go to a restaurant, and you know, for a couple hours you're going to have to be in this restaurant, and then you pay the bill and you go, you know, and then next weekend you get to go to a restaurant again. And, you know, if the restaurant's good, you'll probably want to go back to the same one. If the restaurant's bad, you'll want to change. But if you only had a system in which everyone just put the name down for the restaurant you wanted to go to, and all the vote is split, and, you know, if you have like 10 mates and 8 of them all pick all these new cool restaurants that all sound really interesting but are very diverse and different, and then you have 2 mates that say McDonald's, for example,
Yeah.
then the entire group has to go to McDonald's, because 20% of the group, so you have 80% of the group unhappy with where you've gone because they all wanted to go to a fancy upscale restaurant, and 20%, which is essentially the minority, choosing to go to a restaurant that most of you didn't want to go. It is it's not a system that works. And I think with most politics, it's like, stop polarizing this shit, because everyone just ends up unhappy.
Yeah, but they keep in control of the power, don't they? If they keep it that way, it's
And
a
it
system that works for them. So
Exactly, that's the thing. It's sad, but with every political debate, it's like, stop polarizing it. Stop being so sensational about everything that like you do, no matter what the topic or issue it is. Where are the cool heads in the middle of it? Because every time there's something with like parentheses gate on the end of it, anything, and Jesus, the internet's designed to follow this kind of system, isn't it? To polarize opinions and just have people on either side just screaming and shouting at each other.
Mm-hmm.
And it encourages you to just like really go off the, you know, so, like, we live in a world where someone like slightly misspeaks or something. Like, I saw someone put together a moderately well thought out, and though I didn't agree with it, point on Facebook, but it was too nuanced and well thought out that immediately people were firing back with, like, you know, 1-word answers like bigot, racist, idiot, you can't read. It's like, what? Like, read his. Why don't you just go through his points and see what he's trying to say?
Because that's too much work.
The world is like not black and white. It's very nuanced and complicated, and every answer is not really the right answer. It's just the most right answer, or it's the answer that will work the best.
Yeah.
Like, that's all you can do. And as Longplay says, the most conservative friends agree about the media is complete crap. America has it bad, man. It's like,
Wasn't Fox News paid for and like funded by the Republican Party? I mean, to have a
and vice versa. I imagine the money just goes back and forth.
But I mean, that's crazy that to have like a political party owned media that's as powerful as Fox News
in
is.
inverted
Yeah.
to call it news in inverted commas. But the thing is, they allow the the fact that news can be politicized, but also, but to be honest, the idea is kind of weird as well. But I see the way people react to like the BBC on most social media outlets, where there's just this like voice of people who, it's really funny because you see like most of their articles, and basically both sides of the political spectrum are like, the BBC is biased, and you're like, yeah, but you're only saying that because you've seen this article you don't agree with. But like, I scroll a bit further down and I see an article you would totally agree with, and there's just the other side going, look at them, they're so biased. I'm like, well, yeah, they're going to appear biased if you only read the articles and react to the articles that offend you, because that's the way the human brain works. You remember the bad moments. You don't remember like the 900 days of school that were all right. You remember the horrible moments where someone bullied you or you wet your pants or something, you know, something like that. It's the way we work. And Longplay says they had a law called equal time where both sides had to get equal coverage, but Reagan killed it. We still have that rule in the UK. The BBC for political stuff has to. I think they have a really weird way of working it out, but it's a percentage based on how many people voted for you, which is sort of unfair because it gives the people who are already in power more airtime and more chance to deliver their message. But it's also their reasoning, I think, is that if you have 40% of the vote, then it's like 40% of the people are interested in what you have to say. So therefore, they'll give you 40% of the time, and then they're doing their duty to give the people what they're, technically forced to pay for. Though people crying about paying their like TV license, going, I'm not going to pay it. I'm like, you know how taxes work, right? Like you pay for a lot of stuff you don't want or use. Like you can't.
I don't think people do know what taxes like. I'm pretty sure a lot of people think the government somehow makes money. Like, I don't think they understand. Yeah, but I don't think they understand that, like, it's everyone's money that funds the government. It's not the government. Like, the way people have been going on about various handouts and stuff that were in the UK, like, oh, we've got to pay all this back. I'm like, yeah, it was, like, the government doesn't have the thing that generates the government money is everybody. So if they're at a deficit, like we have to give them more. That's kind of how it works. Like, did you not think that if once the crisis was over and the bailouts were done and whatnot, that we would at some point have to maybe make up all of the extra money that we spend that we don't normally spend every single year?
Yeah, like once furlough's over, it's like,
Your Majesty.
Yeah, that's got to go back now.
We've got to find the money from somewhere.
Without question, sire. Tomorrow's journey
And
planned out, sire.
It's but was it the
Joe.
Always Sunny thing you were showing us?
Look at this lass's name.
Beatrice the Dense. Oh, bless her.
She's vapid.
Traits vapid, hard but fair.
Prudish, but a natural negotiator somehow.
And I'd love to see her in the negotiating room.
Oh dear me.
It's like so do we keep Alexandria?
Sire.
What? Oh, I don't know. Where's Alexandria?
Maybe. What's in Alexandria?
Who's Alexandria?
Yes, Your Highness. God's servant.
Oh man, no. But yeah, back to your point. There's the money has to come from somewhere. But it's like, was it not that Always Sunny sketch where it's not a sketch?
Oh,
scene.
The taxes
like,
scene is so good.
The taxes, yeah, where they're like, you've got to pay more taxes to have more social services, essentially. But they're like, I don't want to pay more taxes. It's like, they're going to close these social services. There's the hospitals, right? The mental hospitals.
The
Psychiatric hospitals or something like that. And they're like, but then they're going to release all these mad people into the streets. He's like, I don't want mad people running over the streets. They should build more hospitals. Like, we're going to have to raise our taxes. I'm not going to raise more. I'm not going to pay more taxes.
I won't hear of it. I won't hear any more of this. It's such a good scene because it accurately represents about 85% of the world's population.
It's just, yeah.
Like, it wouldn't be parodiable if it wasn't largely the truth.
Yeah. This is the kind of thing, like, with, like, again, with stereotypes, like, I think, like, a lot of these things, like, people need to maybe, like, calm down when they get upset over stereotypes. Like, some of them are, like, harmful and damaging, but obviously there are ones that are, like, you've seen something happen, and like they wouldn't resonate with people if there wasn't some like
Truth behind it.
truth,
Or like
behind it.
some daft truth behind it. Obviously, we're no way condoning like awful bullying, discriminatory behavior, but like
No, but like
saying
you know
that
what,
like Scots are tight or whatever is a bit of a joke, isn't it? Like, or that they drink
Yeah.
lots of beer. Like, it's not. No one means any harm by it. It's just a bit of a daft joke,
well, exactly. And it's
softy
like,
southerner
no,
type thing. Like, don't think.
and that all Geordies are class. I know exactly. It's ridiculous. I mean, some of them hurt because I don't think I'm that class. I mean, I'm pretty good, but no. But yeah, it's like you're not gonna like. Sometimes you gotta be like, mate, just chill out.
Yeah,
chill out, like-
calm down. It's just a joke. Get over it and move on.
Don't be so precious about yourself or anything like that. Like, you know what? I'll be like we're the first ones like rip the mick out of Geordies. Like, you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah, we
I
took the mick out of Archie for like 20 minutes the other night.
Exactly. And this is the kind of thing, like, if someone comes up to me and is like, oh, your accent's fucking ridiculous, like, that is like just uncalled for.
And that's
But
when
if
you
they,
that's
like,
when you
had
punch
some-
them in the face.
that's when I drink a load of brown ale and then headbutt them. Exactly. No. It's like, look, I've had it up to here with these stereotypes. Where's my brown ale? I'm gonna start a fight.
Yeah.
But it's like you just enjoy, like, enjoy our differences. Like,
Yeah, exactly.
I don't mind people like laughing at our voices because we say A and E almost indistinguishably the same way. Like, I'll laugh at that. Or I think there's a scene in, is it the film Goal, where the lad comes from South America to Newcastle to play football. It's like a really old film.
Yeah, I just don't think I've seen more than 20 minutes of it.
It's not a good film, but there's a bit where he arrives and someone mentions the Geordies, and he's like, "What are Geordies?" And the bloke's like, "Don't quote me on this, it's an air quote," but he just goes, "Geordies are the people that live in the Toon." And he's like, "What's the Toon?" He's like, "The Toon's where the Geordies live." It's such a stupid idea, but like, you know what? Like, having like people take the mick out of you for something or other is like totally fine. Like, don't get so precious over yourself. If they mean nothing by it and they're just like trying to have a laugh. Like, mate of mine said the other day, it was something about like Geordie's not working. He's like, "Oh, they always vote Labour up there, but they have no idea what work is." And I'm like, that's just like, he did. It was just a daft joke, and I'll make and I'll hit back at him with something about he's from Somerset, so keep it in the family kind of thing or whatever.
You headbutt him.
Something about cider. I just smashed my bottle of brown ale and stabbed him. No. But it's like totally fine. It's completely contextual. He is not like he was not saying that to a massive group of people to go out on a hunt and round up Geordies and kill them. There's like, that is the difference between like, jokes and hate speech. If you're doing it to like change someone's position or opinion of people for like a horrid personal gain, yeah, then like using the stereotypes is not a good idea, not like an us and them kind of thing.
Finally got
If
to
you're
Moscow.
doing it just to celebrate I didn't even know it went as far as Moscow actually, but like to celebrate our differences, it's fine, man. Like, everyone's, if everyone was all the same, it'd be fucking boring. It would be boring as shit. You'd have now to talk about. Like, that's the one thing. You
Yeah,
don't sit around
exactly,
going,
yeah.
You'd sit there and you'd be like, "Are we all still in agreement?" Yes.
Without
Excellent.
question, sire. Tomorrow's
At least like
journey
people when they're
planned
drunk, they get a bit argumentative and then conversations happen. Sweet Jesus, a lot of work got done that term, didn't it? Except that mission failed.
Yeah, they wanted me to blockade Toledo, but like just made peace with them again. So no, I don't want to do that.
Long play adds all accents are ridiculous, and
Yes, they are.
I agree.
My lord.
I agree. And the idea, I like when people say they don't speak with an accent. I'm like, yes, you do. Everyone speaks with an accent. That's literally how it works.
Arrest, sire.
Like,
Sire.
if you didn't speak with an accent, you would have to speak a language that literally had no linguistic variation between members of speakers at all. and even
Yeah.
then there'd be one accent. It would just be the only one. When people are like, I don't have an accent, I'm like, no, you speak in this kind of dull, I'm too scared to show where I'm from voice. Like, because you think that like you're inherently better or worse because of it, which is
God's
again,
servant in
we go on
God's
all day about this. It doesn't matter. You can't
No.
assume anything from people because of their accents
No.
or the way they speak. And my person, and and I'll make fun of non-native speakers speaking English, and I'm sure, and I'm happy for them to make fun of me speaking their language as well. But I do like the point of like, there's a someone who speaks English with a foreign accent means they already speak two languages. Do you know what I mean? So like
Yeah.
they could speak even more. Do you know what I mean? Like anytime
Oh,
someone
yeah.
makes fun of someone with a foreign accent, it's got under, especially if you only speak the one language, you've kind of got to be like, hey, you didn't learn their language, did you? Do you know what I mean? Like, so like glass houses throw stones kind of situation.
Mm-hmm.
They're like, it's also like, of course there are like, don't get me wrong, there are like funny things that can happen by speaking a foreign language. You have the whole like Maltese waiter joke, where he wants a sheet on the table and a fork on the bed thing.
Yeah.
That's just silly like misunderstandings. And don't get me wrong, I remember when I was in France, I accidentally shouted across the courtyard that I wanted to say I had a cold or something, but instead I kind of shouted across the entire courtyard that I had the shits. Got the words mixed up, whatever. Accidentally told an old lady on a bus once that I was horny when I meant to say that. It was
accidentally. I know what you're like you've got a thing for the aged.
No, actually, it was. I was on the bus with my granddad, and he was trying to pull her. That's why. He tried to get me to speak to her, and I was like, I can't be asked to speak French. It's too odd, is what I wanted to say. But instead, I said I really can't be bothered to speak French. I'm too horny. Which
Probably in France is something they maybe hear quite often. They're a sexually liberated people. Get in there.
This is going to be a tough segue to manage, but the last was just watching this thing on Netflix, which is a French series about a leader. I was going to say a leader of prostitutes. What do you call
Pimp.
a madam? No, a lady one. A lady leader of prostitutes. Someone who runs the brothel. A madam, I guess. Well, her name is. She's famous, and she's called Madame Claude, and it's about her essentially. She was watching that just before, and she's like, "Do you want to watch it?" I'm like, "No, I'm gonna do some streaming. Don't worry." It's like, and she's like, "No, I'll watch someone else if you like want to watch this with us." And just before we went on the stream, she's watching this, and there's basically like loads of naked women all over the shop, and I'm like, "Oh, it looks good." But
It's like send me a text. James, I'm going to be 30 minutes late for the stream tonight. I'm cooking some dinner.
Yeah, I'm just having dinner and nipping at the
What's
lid.
doing? Look at them like moseying off in that little circle and that. It's like, what are you doing?
For a cheeky
I
fancy
mean,
scene.
I wouldn't want to fight these nutters in kilts and stuff, but like, I'm still a bit confused about what's going on here.
Longplay mentions an English person speaking any other language sounds like they're making an effort. I mean, just for most English speakers, we have a really bad rap for just not giving a fuck about other people's languages, which is also sort of fair in a way. Like I think people should learn foreign languages,
Oh yeah.
But certainly there's also this kind of like inverse problem where everyone does speak English, and I'm not meaning in the general way. It's not like you can just go somewhere and assume someone does, but English is widely taught and the largest, the most spoken language in terms of like second language speakers. Like almost everyone, if they learn a foreign language and they aren't an English speaker, will learn English. And there's a lot, and the more people that speak your language, the less reason you have to speak other languages. So the same as, and it's also, there's a whole like political thing behind it as well. And I don't mean like actual politicians. I mean the fact that like if you live in a country whose language is widely used elsewhere, or is widely used in media, or everything is widely accessible in your language, then you have like less motivation to learn another language, because you know you have access to everything. If you spoke a language that only had like 50 native speakers, then you'd probably learn some English just by like going online or trying to go see a film, because you know odds are there's not a dub in your native language, unless like, you know, with 50 native speakers, you might be like, does Dave still do dubbing, or am I gonna have to watch this like in English because the film is made in English? Like Dave can't dub all the films in English that come out, so you just like, I'll just watch it, Dave, I'll work it out. Not that there's like a tribe of 50 people Dave, but you know what I mean. You get the idea. There's like the cultural output in a given language, and you know, here in Spain, like they're among some of the worst in Europe for their level in English.
Right.
But also there's an entire continent of Spanish speakers, and they get all their media, and they get tons of music and tons of media and everything in Spanish. They don't really need to learn English. It's not even like they need to learn English because they go places on holiday where it's spoken. Like they're in Spain, they're already in the holiday destination for most English people. Like they can holiday in Spain. Like it's very common for Spaniards to holiday just elsewhere in Spain. Just buy a second house and go to the beach. Like, you know, they get a second house and have the holidays at the beach. If they live where there's a beach, they get a second house in the countryside or in the mountains, and then they go holiday in the country or the mountains because they've got all that. You know, it's a nice place to be.
Yeah,
but
I did hear that there's a lot of debate going on now in the European court or whatever as to what the language of the European Union should be, and I believe the French have thrown their
of course they have.
name into the hat. I would think that across Europe though, would
in terms of
German not be spoken in more countries?
German has Germany and Austria
and Switzerland as well.
And Switzerland, but that's not EU. I mean, you know, they're there, but
yeah, I know, yeah, but I just mean in terms of like countries to, or if it's like the idea
and
Luxembourg, yes. I mean, I would say probably German would make a little bit more sense.
I think Germany's like 100 million people anyway, and France is like 80. These are like random numbers that I'm pulling at me off.
Germany's economy's a lot stronger as well, so I don't know if that, you know, gives them a bit extra weight in the negotiation table. But I would have thought it would be German if it's not English.
Yeah, but it's also the fact that are the French gonna learn German? Like they also rate very poorly on the table of countries that speak really good English in Europe. They are like among the. France has like a really low level of English. Generally, that's not to say that there aren't French people who speak really good English. Like, yeah. But as a nation, they rate poorly. Whereas like nations like Portugal rate very highly because they tend to get all their films subtitled and all their TV subtitled. They don't.
They are like
their
oldest
films.
ally as well, Portugal.
They are, but there's also this. There's also like subs versus dubs argument where it's like people who get all their media dubbed never like pick up any English, whereas like nations like Portugal and the Netherlands and you know like Denmark, who will often just be like, just throw in it's an English film, just throw some of our subtitles underneath and they'll read it. But they spend their entire lives like hearing television and films in English, whilst also studying it. And also like listening to a lot of music in it, whereas the countries that don't have like this cultural import of English language stuff, they don't tend to do as well. Edgar Terra's having a bad day, by the way. But the French thing doesn't surprise me because I joke on with the lass all the time who is French and a French speaker, obviously, as a lot of people in France are, and I joke at her that like French isn't that important of a language, even though like I earn me bread and butter from the French language. But anyway, I do tell her like French isn't as important as the French make it out to be. It's like only spoken in France and like Canada and like North Africa and stuff like that. But in terms of native speakers and second language speakers, there's not that many of them. And like you said, with Germany having a lot of clout economically, having a language that belongs to an economically powerful country or vice versa, like an economically powerful country where said language is spoken, helps a lot as well, because people want to learn languages where business is being done, etc., etc. But I said the point I always make is that like the French have done really well and are very clever about how they've made their language somehow still important, like more important than other languages, because they make it the official language of any fucking association. Like literally, like when you say like the French would throw their hat in the ring to like make it the official language of the EU. They have done that with everything. You name an international association that the French didn't just go and set up, because I'm sure there's a group of people sat in Paris right now waiting to form the next club or organization.
Yeah.
Because FIFA, French official language. We invented football, but like at the same time, the French were like, should we make up the official association for said game? Yep, let's do it. They have that. The Olympic Committee as well, official language French. The FIA that runs motorsports, set up in France, French language official, yada yada yada. They did the same with UEFA, even though that's European, guess a subset of FIFA, but again, French official language. The EU gets it as well. NATO gets it. Like they get that little like French language official, like I think the French language is an official language of more organizations than it is actual countries. Like any flipping organization is that runs or sees over something. Fairly certain the French set it up. Like
just jumping into the chat.
You'll know about this. Yeah, I was like, what?
Yeah. Well, first of all, long play. I don't know if there's a bit of lost in translation there, but English people definitely like those other countries. Spain, maybe not France so much. Italy, they're very big popular destinations, and they do like it there. I think there's like a huge expat community actually who live in Spain.
Largest country myself included, in terms of British expats, Spain is the country with the most amount of British expats of any country in the world, I believe.
Right.
At least in the EU, definitely.
And then, on the historical tidbit, apparently most people burned at the stake were already killed before being burned at the stake, except for potentially heretical priests, which, if you were watching on the screen there, that was actually a heretical priest that was being burned at the stake.
Burned at the stake, yeah.
Unfortunately, one of mine. But yeah, that's an interesting little fact, and I guess makes it a little bit nicer. It's a pretty awful thing to do to someone if they're alive.
Unless you're a heretical priest.
Or
Then
Joan
you're
of
like,
Arc,
oh,
I
damn
guess.
Yeah. She didn't have a good time either. And
no. Well, she had a good
but to
time
go
for a
back to
little
the point,
bit.
why do English people go to other countries they don't even like for vacation? I think they like. I think a lot of
It's
British
warm.
tourists were terrible tourists. Yeah, the weather. There's
It's
like this
entirely the
horrible
weather.
thing where, look, like you said about the Spanish expats. No, British expats in Spain. I guess yes, British expats in Spain. There are places of people that have like no interest in being a part of life in Spain. They have just like made a little UK where they live.
Yeah, I guess so.
There
Yeah,
are-
yeah. They don't
there are
integrate into
insane.
the culture, do they? They don't like.
They're not here for the culture. They're here for the sun and cheap stuff.
I think just before we jump into, I just wanted to say, like, in terms of the game, I think this is probably a good point to stop. We've gotten a foothold over in Egypt and got Edinburgh, I guess, and we're just about to enter what is probably going to be a fairly lengthy siege battle.
Yeah.
So, I think it's probably a
Save that
reasonable
to
place
start
to
off with
pause. Yeah, we'll start
save
off
that
the
for a
next one.
flashbang tomorrow.
And we'll jump in and beat we'll beat Captain Rossos, which is a cool name, of the Byzantine Empire.
Oh yeah.
Which interesting little factoid. The Byzantine Empire was like a name that was given to the empire of that region by historians. I don't think they ever called themselves at the time the Byzantines. They were an offshoot of the Eastern Roman Empire. So, yeah, the Byzantine thing's been added by historians. No one who was around at the time was calling themselves that.
I
But
think
we'll
that's
smash 'em anyway.
potentially- Yeah, I think that's potentially. I might get this wrong, but I think it's. I don't know if it's called an. That might be technically an exonym, which is when you have a term for people that they don't use for themselves, people or places or
Right, okay.
whatever. Like in the same way, like the word for England is England. That's an endonym because the people of England refer to England as England. But in other countries like France, where it's like Angleterre, or Spain, where it's like Inglaterra, they are called exonyms because that's the words from outside. You know a bit of Greek, don't you? Exo being outside, endo being
It means
inside.
kiss hug, doesn't it?
That's XOXO. But yeah, so yeah, I don't know if this would count as an exonym because historians later called them that, and at the time people from the outside, I don't know if people outside the Byzantine Empire were calling them that at the time. I know you were saying this was a name later given to them by historians, so it could potentially be an exonym and another type of word, which I guess is like a name for something given later. Not quite the same as when old technology gets renamed because the new technology takes its name and sort of replaces it, like words like landline, which obviously weren't called landlines until mobiles came about. They were just phone lines.
Okay, yeah.
Things like that, where like obsolescence, I guess, makes them have to change their name. But in this case, I don't know if it's like part that, part exonym. But if they didn't say it in their own language or refer to themselves as that, then it's probably an exonym.
Cool. Right. Well,
Yeah.
yeah. I think we'll end it there, and we'll be back next time to smash Captain Rossos and carry on with the. I keep saying it's the conquest of Europe, but I mean there's a fair chunk of the Middle East and Africa and Asia in this, so I guess it's Europe and beyond.
It is. I do want to just answer Longplay's question before we go as well. England is called England because of the Angles and that it was Angle land, but the term England in English, as it were, would be our endonym because it's the word in our own language for the thing we're referring to. I guess if Geordies would be our endonym. Because Geordies call themselves Geordies, as it were. Mm-hmm. And when people from the outside also use that term, they're using the endonym because it's the term referred to. It's the term the people it's referring to or the place it's referring to uses, as it were. But yes, we're called England because of the Angles. That's the one thing I do know about history. We totally forgot about the Saxons and the Jutes and all the other people that influenced our language and just went with that. And even the poor language gets called English and completely forgets the influence of those northern Germanic tribes. Mm-hmm. But yes.
Cool.
More tidbits of that and more probably next time when we batter Captain Rossos of the later named Byzantine Empire, right, James?
Yeah. We'll give him a kick in and send him packing back to Constantinople, I guess, or Istanbul, or no, Constantinople at the time, I think.
Well, he's not called King Rufus the Nice, is he?
Right, so yeah, thanks for everyone for watching. You can find us on all the social medias and whatnot.
Exactly.
We're doing a rejig of the Discord and everything, but it's still, if you're into indie games or an indie dev, then it's definitely worth joining to connect with and I guess network with other indie game fans and indie devs. And we'll see you, well, for this stream anyway, next week. Cool.
Exactly.
It's goodbye from me and it's goodbye from Joe.